Live from iRacing's virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 8th and final race of the 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series. We are 7 weeks in and 1 to go on this Gen 4 journey through time that we've taken you on, and tonight it all comes to a head at the old configuration of one of the most historic tracks on the NASCAR calendar, and with some trophies to be handed out at the end of the night, we welcome you inside of the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth alongside Derek Watson. My name is Evan Pasoko, and our producer downstairs is Joshua Lee. And Derek, we've been seeing the Seth the Merchant show, for lack of a better term, be the story all year long. The most consistent, the most assertive driver all the way through. But things did get a little bit more interesting in the championship just a week ago when Seth the Merchant DNF'd in Fontana, which made the points close coming into tonight. We'll talk more, though. It does not mean, though, that Michael Araya's hopes feel any better. The gap stands at 27. It is still large enough that this race may come down to just the green flag.
Yeah, the green flag may be the battle there, but there's some really great battles back through the field, Evan. Look at the 11-point difference between Agnel Phillip and Michael Laraya. Look at the 6-point difference between Agnel Phillip and Nathan Jurgensen. Only 2 points between Ross Cato and Cody Harris. So it gets deep all the way down. So while we may have a champion basically declared on the driver's side, there's still lots to go down there and even a team points to talk about.
Yeah, 2 trophies available as always, and the team championship is the name of the game because last week Flat Out Esports took the lead away from A51 Pro. That is only a 7-point differential between those two for the team championship. Of course, A51 Pro teamed up with the Altus Group for the Cup Series back in 2023. They won the Cup Series team championship, but here on the Winter Series side of things, they're going to have to go through Flat Out Esports, headed by the likes of Michael Araya and more. So that will be the secondary storyline of those 2 championships, both for the driver and for the team. That'll be dictated in about an hour and change from now. Drivers just wrapping up their open practice session, and then we will head in to the last 5-minute open qualifier of the year, and it's been fun taking you through time with these Gen 4 Cup cars, but the second half of all of that, Derek, has been trying to reflect some of that in the schedule, and that really all again comes to a point here. This is not the new Super Speedway-esque Atlanta Motor Speedway. We started the year at the old configuration of Daytona, and we end it here at the old configuration of Atlanta.
You know, this schedule has been great, Evan, because it's really featured a lot of legacy tracks or older layouts now. I guess even if you count Auto Club, which we limited over last week, is kind of where it's been. So yeah, it's been a great schedule of just featuring old layouts of tracks where these cars benefit the most. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun in this series. I have to admit, I'm a first timer here. Working with this series has been amazing in this IceBreaker series. And remember, this was all driver led, Evan. The drivers wanted these cars. They wanted older tracks. And you know what? Sometimes drivers don't get it right, but this time they definitely did.
This whole concept of changing from the Xfinity cars to these cars you mentioned was driver-led, as well experimenting with different qualifying procedure, different practice times, race start times, all of that done based on driver feedback, and you'll see some of that come into play with the upcoming Cup Series. There's a look at your defending Cup champ who may exit tonight as the no longer defending champ of the Winter Series. That big silver cup right next to his Cup Series title belt is his Winter Series championship trophy from just just 1 year ago. Agnell is a part of that conversation, but again, he is a part of that conversation in terms of the battle behind the top spot, fighting against Lariah for what will likely be at best a P2 in the championship. These things are taped up though and ready to go. If you haven't seen an open qualifier before, these drivers have 5 minutes on the clock to do as many laps as they can, but again, they'll often put so much tape that they'll go out and run 1 or 2 laps at a time, and we'll start to see the times coming on the board. First couple of laps in, fastest so far goes to Seth the Merchant, 31.482. He's top of the board early as we continue to watch Agnell Phillip, who currently slides down into P8 with some work to do.
Yeah, there you see drivers pulling off the track and getting those runs in. There's Seth the Merchant, our likely title holder when this night is over, getting a lap in here. Currently sitting P1 on the board with 31.482. Seth told me the goal tonight, Evan, is to be cautious and safe until he knows it's locked, and then it's full send.
And you can see he gets his quick lap in, and he heads back down to the flat of the racetrack. He'll take the toe to pit road and start and go again. That opens the opportunity for more drivers to blend out onto the racetrack. You got, it looks like the 28 machine to Cody Harris up there on the outside of the racetrack. Cody has been one of the drivers as well who has been in the conversation much of this season, but has not been able to get a race win. Maybe looking to play spoiler here tonight in this finale.
Yeah, and you know what about Cody? He has a surprise for you. You've been holding on to this. Cody sent us a photo he wants you to see live. This is Cody and his brother. They are both members, or were members, of the Ohio State University Marching Band, have both performed in Ohio Stadium. So there's Cody live, and there's a picture of him and his brother. So he's proud that they both were part of the band, and he thought you being a Michigan guy, you'd love to see that on a broadcast.
I love seeing the Rose Bowl logo, too, over his shoulder from when, in a different year, but Rose Bowl brings back good memories with Michigan winning that. Also in that live shot, a new addition is that big silver cup as well. I talked about the A51 Pro Altus Alliance for the Cup Series. Well, that group won the Cup Series championship, and they nominated him to receive the hardware. So there's some other things that I like in the shot more than the crimson, and it's that silver RSR Cup trophy for the team championship. I'll tell you what, coordinated with Cody and sending him the trophy, had some fun back and forth, and he also congratulated my team on a good season. So always enjoy the back and forth with him, and his lap's done, so he'll spin her out and maybe have an opportunity to fire back off pit road one more time as the clock closes in on a minute remaining. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. You're right. That is the end of a run. I got scared. I thought he was going to make another run at it, but yeah, no, that's good there. So yeah, we're going to see an onboard shot here. This would be Nathan Jurgensen, or was Nathan Jurgensen, I think, but he's already went ahead and killed the run, so he may not get another one in. Now remember, if you're new or if you're tuning in for the first time or not, there is a bonus point available for getting the pole. So right now, Evan, Seth the Merchant is sort of doing what he needs to do and wrapping up that bonus point to make sure no one else can catch him.
The best case scenario for Michael Lariah being 27 points back would be a max points night. It would be a pole, most laps led, and a race win. That would accumulate 43 total points. It would mean that Seth the Merchant would have to only score 16 for them to simply tie in the championship, but Seth would have the tiebreak. So realistically, he would have to score a total of 15 points, meaning Seth would need to finish 22nd. And as you can see on your leaderboard, the number stands at 15 cars having attempted to qualify, which means that if that number holds true, Seth the Merchant must simply start this race, and he will be officially crowned the 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series champion. The clock strikes 0. The checkered flag is out one more time around for the 57 car across the start-finish line. He does not improve, but as the final couple of cars complete their laps, looks like his 31.482 is going to stand the test of time.
Yep, so that one bonus point goes in there to help and make that gap probably a little bit bigger when all is said and done. So we'll wait and see how this lines up here, but I think we are ready to look at our starting grid here in just a moment.
Yeah, the clock continues to tick down, so let's head down trackside and take a look at your Real Sim Racing starting grid for the final race of this Winter Series season. Seth the Merchant looks to claim the championship from pole position. He will start alongside the number 31 machine of Nathan Jurgensen. Agnell Phillip, the defending champion for the next few minutes, stands in third, and a multi-time champ at Andrew Freenosh alongside in P4. Then back on row 3, P5 tonight goes to the 44 of Michael Araya, and Ross Cato will roll off from P6.
Moving back into P7 is Grant Davis with Maverick Davis on the outside, number 15 machine. Then you got Kyle Cameron, the 8-ball, with Cody Karras, the Scarlet and Gray, on number 10. And then Manuzzi Major and Eric Papineau, 11th and 12th. And I'll round it out here with our last couple cars. Sam Nieto back in that red Deuce at number 13. Braden Whitaker in 14th. And DeAndre Kane, the RSR rookie, IceBreaker Series rookie, I should say, back there in P15.
A lot of new faces joined us for this Winter Series campaign. We're looking forward to seeing some of them join on the Cup side of things as well, alongside a lot of the Cup Series regulars who take the winter off to reset and charge. And only 2 weeks away from getting started for Cup Series action. We'll talk more about that, as well as information on how you can sign up and watch those races when we get to the end of tonight's broadcast. So Seth the Merchant, we'll start from pole. Let's talk about this Atlanta Motor Speedway, 1.54 miles in length. Again, same length as the current racetrack, but it is the surface that is the story, Derek.
It's the surface and the banking and the way that this racetrack performs is the story here. This is not a draft package. You're going to get in these corners super fast, super hot, and super loose all night long. Look at that track temp, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is going to be a hot, slick track all night long here at Hotlanta.
And they call it Hotlanta for a reason, and it's a good part of the country to get some hot chicken as well. But I think down trackside, it's going to be eating up tires instead of wings today as the pace car rolls off and away. And again, we get set. Let's talk to you about tonight's race. 100 laps, 154 miles, start to finish. In this one, it is fixed setups throughout, so drivers competing on an equal playing field. 4 additional sets of tires available on pit road, 100% fuel capacity. And as always, there are no fast repairs available. So what you bring to the racetrack is what you've got at the racetrack all night long for this final race on the season. These cars have been fun to drive at big tracks, little tracks, and everything in between. But this, I think, will really be exciting. It's not quite as old as Atlanta can get, because if you've been around for a minute, you'll know this racetrack used to have a straight front stretch and straight back straightaway until they reconfigured this place. This is the oldest version available on the iRacing service, and kind of funny to think that a racetrack that had been in competition not that many years ago and kind of had its last couple of years of really good racing, kind of the mid-2010s, can have such a nostalgia factor already. But it really is a fun circuit, and as always, we're happy that you're spending your Monday night with us on RaceSpotTV. Pace car down and in, filled in the hands of the 57 of Seth the Merchant, as we say, let's go racing at Atlanta. Lap number 1 is in the books. It's another bonus point to the driver of the 57. And with that, Seth the Merchant is officially your 2024 Real Sim Racing IceBreaker Winter Series champion. A first-time champion at this level in RSR competition. But a battle still to be had over the course of these next 99 laps. They were side by side for P2 on the opening lap of this race. Jurgensen won out in that battle. You're on board with him as he tries to hunt down the 57.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can keep the 57 in his sights all night long and if he can make that pass. But moving the conversation back to last year's champion, Evan for whatever reason, Agnew Phillip was not thrilled with his restart. In fact, he just yelled over the radio, "I suck," as what he said when that restart didn't go well. So obviously, he must have spun the tires or just not got the launch he wanted. And look at how it spaced these front four out before they get side by side behind him.
And it may be cruel, but I can't help to smile or chuckle a little bit anytime an extremely talented race car driver makes a comment like that, right? It goes to show you got him in a good race car that can give them even a bit of a challenge. Agnell started third, only slipped up that one spot. It was Freenach who was able to get around him and then challenge Jurgensen, so he drops back one. Freenach goes up one, and Demerchant and Jurgensen started 1-2. It's exactly how they run currently. As you can see, the red and green indicators on the scoring to pylon denote the 8 car of Kamer makes a pass on Agnell. They'll swap out P4 and 5.
Yeah, Kyle Kamer up here in that 8 ball up in P4. Feels like maybe a high for the season. We're going to say that a lot tonight due to the short field, but we'll see some new names up here and working around. Look at that, the first car starting to rip the top line. That is Andrew Freenach. I heard, at least I think you did as well, that top lane is fast, but it's dangerous here. And so some drivers are scared to use it. They think that maybe it's going to burn up too many tires and make it happen. But here's Andrew Freenach on lap 5 trying to take the lead, Evan.
He goes to the outside of Demerchant and has the advantage at the stripe. So lap led for Andrew Freenach, and another one going to go on through. Jurgensen following top side. The 88 a little bit tight. The 31 side steps down to the bottom. They're both going to get around Demerchant now as Jurgensen unable to get the run off of 2 to make the challenge for the lead. And now as Freenach goes to the bottom, Jurgensen going to put the 31 car on the outside, and we'll go at it again side by side for the lead. And for the second time in as many laps, another lead change. This time it's Jurgensen to the point.
Look at that top lane, Evan. Look at it. It's like the Ross Chastain playoff move, I guess is what you call it. That's what it looks like. It's how fast and how different that was. I mean, Jurgensen just blew right by Freenach and just got around. Look at there. There's the 8 ball. Kyle Kamer now doing it. That top lane has so much speed and momentum in it. If you can make it work, it'll work for you apparently, because these guys are ripping through there and making passes faster than I thought they would.
A lot of movement early in this one, at least towards the front of the field. A little bit of movement midfield. Grant Davis up 3, Maverick Davis up 2. That means Cody Harris, the big loser, he's down 3 so far. Seth Demerchant also down 3 after starting on a pole. He's back in 4th position and watches on as the race leaders continue to jockey for position, with now that 8 machine of Kyle Kamer having lost out, with the 31 of Jurgensen challenging, the 88 of Freenach trying to get to the bottom. That battle right now for 2nd, and it looks like behind them, Phillip and Merchant also side by side for 4th.
Yeah, doing a great job as everybody here. But, Nathan Jurgensen is someone who honestly, really said that focus has been for us, at least on the title, on Seth Demerchant and the chasing the title. But when I talked to Nathan today, he said, you know what, I'm not disappointed. In fact, I'm thrilled. I can finish top 3 in the points here. I could definitely finish top 5. Compared to the expectations he had for this series, he's exceeded them. So he says, listen, I may not win the title tonight, but I want to go out and have a strong finish, and I'm happy no matter where I finish in the points.
In trouble last time through 1 and 2. Kyle Kamer got into the outside wall pretty aggressively. It cost him that battle for 2nd as Freenach was able to get through, but you can see it hasn't scared Kyle at all. He goes right back up to the outside at 1 and 2 that time, and not able to close the gap just in the blink of an eye, but the 8 car will not be deterred. That mistake, though, did at least give Freenach not only P2 back, but sets that 88 car up the challenge again for the race lead. He is all over the back of Jurgensen and a little bit more aggressive through the front kinks through that quad oval. There's essentially 2 additional corners on the racetrack. He tried to get to the inside left rear. The 31 wasn't able to do it. Here's a second look at the 8 car. Just drifted a little bit too high. It wasn't a hard hit at first, but it bounced off 2 or 3 times there, and there is some damage on the right side of the 8 car. And again, in the end, he only loses a spot. He's not dropping out too quick, but certainly a small misstep there for Kamer, as Freenach again looking to the inside on Jurgensen, trying to challenge for the race lead.
And when you get up in the wall in the middle of a corner like Cameron did, that is very, very difficult, Evan, to get yourself out of safely. Yeah, you can yank the car to the left and you can get off that wall, but then you have to worry about what's going to happen. Are you going to spin the car to the left? Are you going to hit someone who's below you? That's a difficult task to manage getting off the wall safely. But here's another pass here. Jorgensen's now squeezing, almost side drafting. We said this isn't a draft package, Evan, but that move he made there was almost like trying to peel the draft off of the leader, but now he's back behind him again, and now he's just going to keep running here, and Andrew Freenosh continues to lead here at Atlanta. This has been really good racing so far, Evan. The funny story for me in a weird way, Seth the Merchant has this points title locked up. Back in P5, it's sort of the most quiet Seth has been all season. Just kind of chilling back there.
He's cruising. I think he's already looking around his shoulder in the room on where he's going to put the trophy. He's also got a pretty big race coming up tomorrow. His first non-points race in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as a rookie in that championship for 24. So I think Seth enjoying maybe a small moment to just kind of clear his mind and ride. I would also say that the 57's very good. He's probably saving and will be coming back through the field at some point if this run continues to go green. And talking about funny stories, you mentioned the draft, right? Obviously, this new Atlanta that has been turned into kind of a baby Daytona Talladega, if you will, designed for the current era NASCAR Cup cars to draft. And this Atlanta, notably the antithesis of that, right? An opposite. But these race cars, these Gen 4 cars, are not really remembered as drafting type cars because they're more so known for their horsepower, which is the great equalizer and funny to back against the draft and aero push and things like that. But I don't know if there is any generation of NASCAR stock car body that played more to the aero than these Gen 4 cars, the Twisted Sisters as they were known.
Yeah, and you know what? On this track, there's plenty of opportunity to get a draft behind someone. That whole back straight, you can get a big momentum run and still make a draft work here. As you said, it's not, as some people call it, Atlanta Dega or Atlanta Tona, as we're calling now the new layout, because it is that feeling of super speedway racing. But man, Nathan Jorgensen, I wonder if he burnt those tires up making those moves, Evan, because looking him back here now to P4, that's Agnell Phillip getting around on the outside, and Jorgensen is starting to drop really quickly here, almost back into the grasp of Seth the Merchant.
Yeah, Seth has not gone away and may now start to climb through as he's conserved those tires just a little bit over the course of this run. Not really anybody able to get too far away. You've still got your top 12 cars separated by about 3.7 seconds or so. You can toss Whitaker in there and make it the top 13 cars under a 4-second blanket. So not a lot of separation anywhere in the field, as the field appears to be pretty even through opening these first 20 laps or so.
And the thought in some drivers' heads, by the way, as this continues to go green, you love the green flag racing, but a couple of drivers told me this will be almost impossible to do it in one stop here. If we go green the whole way, you have to save a bunch of fuel to make it a one-stopper. So your drivers like a Michael Laraya, even a Seth the Merchant, or even a Cody Harris back there who had a little bit of contact a bit ago, they're the drivers sort of in the catbird seat, because they're pulling that draft and they're saving some gas, but even they will be questionable if they can do it in one stop here.
That has been a trend we followed in the second half. Things were pretty consistent through the opening 5, right? 4 to 5 yellows a race, all anticipated. As we take a look at the replay with the 28 and the 15 car, that's Davis and Harris. There was that touch off at 2 that got the 15 a little bit squirrely down the back stretch, and Maverick Davis able to reel it in, but did lose that spot to Ross Cato, so they will cycle out those positions. But the second half of the season has been a little bit of a different story, right? Some less cars. His drivers fell out at the championship, and a couple of caution-free race at around 6 of the titles. So not to say that it's impossible, and there's nothing these drivers enjoy more than a race where you can have the fuel strategy, the tire conservation, a hard car track combo, and green flag pit stops. I think that just about checks all the boxes. We're not quite there yet, but we're a ways, as we'll be 1/5 of the way through scheduled distance in this Atlanta 100.
Yeah, we are about 1/5 of the way, or now 1/5 of the way through, and we're doing pretty well. By the way, that contact between Harris and Davis. Not only did it get Davis all Wabber jockeyed out of the way there, but really it got Cody Harris's back end off the ground a little bit, Evan. I was surprised in that replay that they both kind of kept those cars moving forwards, because when Cody Harris's back wheels got off the ground just a little bit, I was like, oh no, here it goes. But they both got it collected, and they're got a car between them right now, but they're both moving forward. By the way, Wabber jockeyed. That's a new word for you.
There you go. We'll add that to the thesaurus of RSR. And yeah, you talk about that lifting the back end of the car up off the ground like it's a wheelbarrow or a jack. I mean, that has been a consequential thing all year long too, is these cars react very differently to contact than the Cup cars of now, the Xfinity cars, and it is that low sloped front end. As you look off the back of Seth the Merchant, he is watching back on the rest of the battle for P5. He's got it. Everybody else wants it. The 24 Grant Davis lined up. Michael Araya, Cody Harris. Remember, Seth the Merchant has officially secured this Winter Series championship, but that does not mean that all is for naught, because Laraya and Phillip separated coming into tonight by about 11 points in the championship. That'll be the battle for P2, and Laraya had the lead over Agnell coming into tonight. Agnell outrunning Laraya on track right now, not by enough yet to steal P2, but just another storyline to watch as this race progresses.
And there's Nathan Jurgensen right in between them. Nathan Jurgensen was up in that conversation as well for the, I think, P4 coming into tonight. So lots of jockeying and moving still to happen here in this race as it's happening. But now look, here he comes, Seth the Merchant, starting to creep through. Evan, look at that, using the top lane. Maybe he's figured out he's safe, because now he's moving through the field just like he said he would.
It is always that effect of Seth the Merchant of a boomerang. If you don't see him, it's because he's just getting ready to turn around and come back to you, and that's what happens with the tire conservation. We've seen this many a times this season alone, the battles between Seth and Agnell in terms of tire conservation, who saves early, who saves late, who pushes, who waits. That is, again, the biggest difference between being a good driver on the surface and being a great driver on the surface. It simply comes down to race management and car management in how you decide to save your tires, because I cannot do that for the life of me, and that is why I am very much not a great driver on the surface. Seth continued to apply the pressure, but behind him is where the battle's at. That 31 car Jurgensen going the wrong direction as the 24 Machida Grant Davis made a pass on him, and now the 44 Michael Araya wants to follow suit, and Sim Speed Shop Chevrolet goes to the outside, and that 31 car drops 2 spots in about a lap and a half.
Yeah, dropping a little bit here and dropping fast is the problem. So we'll wait and see what happens here. You talked about tire conservation. That's a challenge for a lot of drivers. Even Coke drivers and Road to Pro drivers talk about how, you know, either you're natively good at one or the other, I feel like. Either you're natively good at saving tires and being there for the long run, or you're natively good at burning up those tires and going fast, really fast, and then having nothing left in 20 laps. And no matter which side of that coin you fall on, learning that other skill seems to be something that people talk about, how, and it's like a magical mystery spell that you just can't get right. It's very, very hard to do. I don't know how they do it myself. I'm with you. I'm not a tire conserver. I'm a burn them up kind of guy. Let's see Cody Harris here on board. That's a great shot. Maybe the first time, Evan, not the first time we've seen Cody on camera this season, but it's been a long time. I think he's finally got that whole college bowl game shame off his face and was ready to appear on camera again.
He's got a whole bunch of logos there, and again, I like to think that that's a nice little trophy we sent him as well, which is helpful too. He's got it next to the band cap. But it is, you can see, I like when they've got the kind of center indicator on the wheel, because it just gives you an easier visualization of what kind of wheel input he's putting in. I also like that he's got the racing gloves. Again, you can take any of my racing-related opinions in terms of driving a simulated race car with a massive grain of salt, because again, we know that it is not my strong suit, but I love the look of the gloves. I've tried racing with the gloves, and I feel more disconnected from the wheel. I think it's the same. Some people feel like they prefer to go with the just socks with the pedals on your feet as opposed to like a race boot or anything else. I personally did not like the feel of gloves. I know that some people will agree or disagree, but Cody with his setup has tailored that to his liking, and he likes having the race gloves on. You can get a good look at him every time he goes through the corner.
Yeah, you can see those gloves here. But you can also see there's not a lot of movement in this wheel. There's a little bit of counter steering out of the corner. But, some people will call it seesawing. They'll call it, arm wrestling a bear, whatever term you have for it. When you can typically tell how happy someone is with their car based on that wheel movement. The less movement, the better is an easy way to do it. But, overall, not the best position for Cody, but definitely a solid night as far as handling in that car.
That battle that Seth the Merchant was a part of for 5th has turned into the battle for 3rd. That's because he continues to charge back through the field, having been able to get around both Michael Laraya and Agno Phillip. He hasn't blown the doors off of them. You can see he's got a decent gap now to then catch the battle for 1st and 2nd. So certainly the challenge from behind is closer than the target up the road. But I don't know for how much longer that'll be the case. Laraya, Phillip, they're doing a good job staying in the wake of the 57 car, using the draft to stay up on that Logitech G Alta Chevy. But for the moment, Seth has his sights set forwards, and it'll be curious to see what they do lap times this time by. Freenosh is going to lead his 21st lap of the afternoon thus far. He clocks in a 34.119. It was a 33.962 for Kamer, who sits in second. Again, maybe the draft, a bit of a benefit there. And then Seth even quicker at a 33.841. Laraya even faster therefore with a 33.697. So they are faster the further back in that line you get. And again, draft has a part of it, but it means that they are all closing in on each other slowly but surely, as DeMerchant has now cracked himself underneath that 1 second margin.
Yeah, they're doing a great job here. So it's time to recycle a conversation, Evan. I think for 2 weeks ago, we're green. You are now on lap 33. If you're a driver who's not confident that you can make the one-stopper work, listen, for what it's worth, Andrew Freenosh, probably one of them. Not that he's not talented, but when you're leading the field, you're burning the most gas. So now you got to start doing that math and that negotiation. So if I'm not going to make the one-stopper work, you start doing that whole thing. Do I stop and cut it? There it is. Look at that. I'm psychic, Evan Pasoko.
Right on the money to pit road comes Andrew Freenosh. He is in at the 1/3 marker. Madatsi Major going to follow him down pit road. So Andrew Freenosh stakes his claim, plants the flag in the territory of the two-stop strategy, and he's going to split this one into thirds. It's going to be scheduled service, 4 tires and a fuel for Andrew. Does anybody else respond as the battle for the race lead going to go side by side? DeMerchant goes to the point because Kamer is coming in. The race leader will now bow out, and Kamer is down pit road for service. He's joined by Grant Davis.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure for the first time this winter season, Kamer led a lap and then went ahead and took advantage of that, and then came down and is now going to put 4 tires and gas on it. So now the question remains, is anyone confident enough, Evan, to do the one-stopper? Is anyone confident or brave enough to do it? Those might be 2 separate things, by the way, to do it. But here comes Seth. You see him down almost at the line, almost got it loose there. Nope, you know what? I don't know. I thought he was on the line, Evan, but then either he decommitted or he faked me out, one of the two.
But over the course of the last 2 races, we have had only 1 combined yellow, right? The caution-free race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the 1 caution race at the Auto Club Speedway just a week ago. So we have had the opportunities on these Monday nights to see these split strategies, the one-stoppers versus the two-stoppers, play out all the way through. And the more drivers you get on varying strategies, the better those conversations tend to get. Seems like for now, if you were going to come in for the two-stopper, that you would almost have certainly wrapped it up by now. Sam Nieto will come to pit road this time after 36 laps. You'll see his name drop down the leaderboard, and then that may be it, right? I don't know, as we get closer to lap 40, if we're going to see more cars coming to pit road, and then it would be waiting for this next group to come in at the halfway point. But look at Freenosh. Look at the 88 car. That's the speed difference. Old tires versus new ones, blowing the doors off of the leaders like they're standing still.
Yeah, and as a leader, that's frustrating. Not because he's getting around you per se, but because you can see the speed difference. Right now, in lap 40-ish or 39, 40 area, you're going to feel those tires working hard, even screaming at you or chirping or screeching at you, and you're having a hard time in the car, whether you're loose or tight, and you're like, man, new tires would feel amazing right now. And then what happens? Someone blows by you and shows you what new tires can do. It's like watching your sibling open that present for Christmas you wanted that you never got. It eats at you really bad.
Sounds like there's some story behind that. We'll consult post-race about that. We can talk through that one if necessary. As DeAndre Kane down pit road. Again, a couple more cars will trickle in, but I have the benefit of the leaderboard to aid me here. 7 cars have yet to come down pit road, and they are obviously first through 7th position at the moment. That would leave 8 drivers who have already come down pit road and are on this 2-stop strategy. That's almost a 50-50 split. You don't often see that when it comes to strategy decisions like this, right? In some of the other races this year, Derek, when we've talked about strategy, it's been kind of a 1/3 versus a 2/3 mix. Not the case here tonight. It is very even throughout the field. You see those last pit stop laps and where everybody is cycled out to. So I always have thought, the psychology of it, that if you have a 30-car field and only 5 drivers want to go, say, for the 2-stop strategy and everybody else goes for the 1-stopper, which one's probably better? The 1-stopper, right? Just collectively, people strategizing. If so many more people pick one strategy over the other, it's probably the better one, right? Not an exact science, but a little bit of race psychology. When you've got an even split down the middle, that gets me excited if this thing can go green, what we're going to be looking at in about 60 laps time.
Yeah, I agree with you, both as a commentator and as someone who watches races as a team owner and as team strategist. These are the parts of the race that excite me the most. I love the on-track battles. I love the side-by-side racing. I love all of that. But when you get down to doing the math of the unknown, as I call it, and you get down to really starting to trying to crunch the spreadsheet and figure it out and what's better and this or that, this is my area. I get excited by this. I love this style of racing because, listen, we're watching people, as you said, blow by Michael Lariah. You saw Cameron 8-Ball do it a second ago. Here comes Major now, and that Sprite car is going to do it in just a moment. So you start to think to yourself, well, of course those tires must be better. Of course that strategy works. And see, remember, it's likely that Lariah and DeMerchant and Agno Phillip will only spend one time on pit road, so that pit road delta now becomes a question. And here comes DeMerchant now. He's going to follow Major, use a little bit of draft, and maybe take the lead here. But that pit delta is the difference sometimes of what happens only stopping once versus twice. I'm guessing it's roughly, 40 seconds all in all down pit road.
And it's all going to come to all the time lost, all the time gained. It's probably turns into a really long math equation, right? You lose X amount of time to pit. These drivers spend about 39 seconds on pit road, but that's from entry cone to exit cone, right? It doesn't include the time lost by slowing down and then the time getting back up to speed, but eventually you'll get a number there. It'll be about 50 seconds to a minute, I think, of time lost on the clock to decide to pit. So then what you're hoping for is that by getting those fresh tires, you then make up that 50 seconds, 60 seconds that you threw away. But it's not that simple, because then you're going to have to come down and pit again. So you need to make up, if you lost 60 seconds, you've got to make up about 90. So then when you do it again, you can make all that time up once more. So there's a lot of math involved in how these strategies play out, lap times, and all of that. You go on board again. That's another look at Agno Phillip, who entered tonight as a defending Winter Series champ. You see the big silver Winter Series trophy right next to his Cup Series championship belt. He will not exit tonight as a defending RSR champ for the first time in about a year and a half, but still trying to fight for P2 in the points. And he, again, based on the way that this race is shook out, is now nose to tail trying to get to Michael Lariah just ahead of him. Lariah, his foe in terms of this championship battle.
And to close out that conversation you were having about the 1-stop versus 2-stop, the one part that gets overlooked a lot is every time you come down pit road, you are exposing yourself to any kind of mistake, whether it be a black flag for speeding, an unsafe entry, whether it be missing the pit box, or anything down pit road that happens. It is of danger to you every time you do it. So for drivers who think they can manage the tires, that's why they want to do a one-stopper, because it's that little less opportunity for something almost out of your control to go wrong.
And we are almost now halfway through this Atlanta 100, closing in on the halfway point, which means that we're going to be getting to that expected pit window for the rest of these drivers. Now remember, we mentioned it might be a little bit tight on the fuel. If this race continues to go green, you're not going to have any sort of yellow flag laps to save you, so you do not want to pit early. You're going to want to go as long as you can. There is always the threat of a little bit of RSR overtime at the end of the night. I don't think that has too much of an impact, though, based on the strategy decisions, because if you get a late race yellow, you're going to come down for tires anyways at that point, and if you're putting tires on it, it adds no time to your pit stop to get a splash of fuel. So I think the real consideration is just go as deep as you can, but leave a lap. Atlanta is not the hardest pit road ever designed, but it's also not the easiest, Derek. And I have seen many good times at races where that one-stop strategy is right on the money, that you wait till you've got about 3/4 or a half a lap of fuel left in the car, and then you decide to pit. Well, if you miss pit road, you don't have enough fuel to get all the way back around. So these guys are going to run it until they've got about 2 or 1 lap left of fuel in the tank, just enough for a reserve lap if it's necessary, and then they'll be headed to pit road.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not the hardest pit road ever. There's definitely harder ones on the NASCAR schedule. But what's hard is getting yourself down to speed, right? Getting yourself from wherever you're running at now to a very slow speed, a normal pedestrian traffic speed, if you will. And that's going to be the difficult part here. I mean, pit road speed here at Atlanta is 50 miles an hour. So you're going to go from 150, 160, 170 to 50 in a matter of seconds.
And somebody who isn't conserving any fuel late in this run is Michael Laraya, aggressively trying to get to the outside of Seth the Merchant to take the race lead away. Maverick Davis pits after 49 completed laps. He is the first driver in on the one-stop strategy for fuel, so he will cycle back through. Now you'll see Freenosh, Kamer, Davis, look on the leaderboard. All those cars who already pitted are going to end up ahead of him in the run order, but it'll be a role reversal now because Laraya to pit road gives DeMerchant the lead. These cars will now leave pit road and find themselves behind the cars who short pitted on that two-stop strategy on track, but it'll be that role reversal. They will now have the better tires. They will now start to make up time, and that accordion, that zig, that zag, that come, that go, that is going to continue for the rest of this race. Laraya not the only one in. Jurgensen's down pit road as well. So is Ross Cato, and all eyes now to the new race leader, Seth the Merchant, because he's also on the brakes and down pit road.
A nice clean entry for Seth the Merchant here. I'm wondering, this is more of a road course terminology, Evan, but I'm wondering if Laraya just performed an undercut there on purpose. Listen, sometimes when you're having a hard time getting around a driver on track, you try and do it on pit road. You try and pit off cycle with them and use some clean air of racing to make that strategy work here. And now we're hearing Agnew Phillip, who's now your race leader, is going to bring it down this time. Man, that's some good fuel mileage right there. He is going to be almost well to the good if we say green.
He's gone further than anybody else. It's a little bit tight on the entry, but he's able to get it down to pit road speed of 50 miles an hour. And with that, Agnew Phillip becomes the last remaining car to come down pit road, and now all 15 of them have been down at some point tonight, and to the race lead goes Andrew Freenosh. Freenosh is on the two-stop strategy, so he will have to come back down pit road at about 15 to 14 laps or so and do it all again. So 10 laps ago, what were we talking about? The two-stop cars having the better tires and chasing the one-stoppers. Now it's the invert because the one-stoppers are behind. They're going to try to chase. Then these cars will pit one final time, and it will be one last game of cat and mouse to the end.
Yep, so now, the cards have been played. Everything's out there. As long as we stay green, everyone's made their decision now. You can't go back on it. Andrew Freenosh can't convert to a one-stop play, because I mean that's what 70 laps on a tank of gas. We know that's impossible. So everyone's made their decision. They've chosen their destiny, if you will. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. There was even we did our interviews after the race 2 weeks ago. There were drivers who said, listen, I don't know how it's going to play out. There was a lot of questions in the driver radio about how it was going to play out. And here we are again. And there's Seth the Merchant back there battling in P8. So all things considered, I mean, listen, you're off cycle and you're P8. That's a good day.
Yeah, it could be worse. And now we'll watch them march through the field. This battle for the number 8 spot that Seth the Merchant is currently in with Maverick Davis is to be the second to fastest car on that alternate strategy, the one-stopper. But I think your point about Lariah was exactly right. All you need is that one lap and you get a big swing, right? Seth has better tires than Michael. There's no doubt about that, but it's only by a one-lap interval. It's going to be noticeable at this level of competition, absolutely. But what Michael did was get that first lap on fresh tires out of the way sooner, and that was one lap quicker that he was running a 32-second lap time, and one lap longer that Seth was running a mid-34-second lap time. Boom, there's your 2.5 seconds right there. So I like the call by the 44. We'll see if Seth can eventually get to him. It's a healthy gap. I think Lariah called that one pretty perfectly.
And the other factor of that, too, when you're following someone and you're kind of frustrated, is when you're following someone, you're kind of stuck to their movements, right? You're stuck to their braking points. You're stuck to when they lift, when they get on the pedal, because you can't get around them, but you also, you're annoyed by what's happening in front of you. So now the Ryan had got that clean area. Now he gets to dictate his pace. It's not based upon that fear of, let me not bump someone. Let me go run here. So you see, Lariah's got a nice big gap here up ahead of them here. This is a great run here. Well, Evan, we got about 43 to go. I got to ask you. You started out the broadcast by saying Atlanta's known for the chicken, hot chicken and great chicken. I'm going to put you in a spot. What is the best chicken place?
Oh man, so there's a lot of them out there, and my answer is admittedly touristy, because while I have been able to be in the South, whether it be in Tennessee or Georgia, a little bit of time in Alabama, but not quite as much, my answer is always going to be Hattie B's. And I know it is a touristy answer. I haven't been able to go to every local spot in Hampton or the suburbs of Atlanta, mind you, but anytime I'm anywhere close, it's going to be Hattie B's.
That's a good answer. I've been there before. I've been through Atlanta a couple times and had some. Honestly, you're right. The best chicken. I mean, obviously there's Chick-fil-A, there's Zaxby's, there's all kinds of other places. But sometimes those local places really do just kind of kick it into a different gear. I'm being told my ears. I have to ask you about a loaded Chick-fil-A. What is this about? So
there is a special Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A, I guess, has some unique locations throughout the country, and one of them is not that far away from this very racetrack right there that we're at currently, and they have a loaded Chick-fil-A fries side. So it's they'll include menu items that are not at all of the other Chick-fil-A standard restaurants. So we partaked in that when we were here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, and it's pretty good. So if you're ever in the area, go to one of those special Chick-fil-A locations and give it a go, because it's not like any other Chick-fil-A dish you'll get on their regular menu. And the regular menu, as we all know, is already so good as is.
Yeah, it's great, especially when you get those little dips for your fries, the buffalo sauce and the Chick-fil-A sauce. I know you love those.
I do, and I was trying to find a picture of the loaded southern waffle fries from the Truett's Chick-fil-A just outside of Atlanta. I couldn't get a visual, but if you just Google, loaded Chick-fil-A fries, you'll get a good serving of what's on the menu there. It's a good time. Try it out. We had this conversation, funny enough, pre-race, right, about best fast food fry, and you slandered the Chick-fil-A fry.
Okay,
I took that personally. The butts are not good of the waffle fries. We all agree. Nobody wants the butt. But Chick-fil-A fries are so good, and their size also allows them to be easily adapted to put on your sandwich, which can't be said for other ones. For the record, it also was not my favorite, but I wasn't slandering.
So first off, I've never heard of putting Chick-fil-A fries on your sandwich.
You never put Chick-fil-A fries on your chicken sandwich?
No.
Jeez.
I'm uncultured, Evan Pasoko. No, but my argument against the fries, you get this massive waffle fry, pardon me, and you get this little tiny cup of buffalo sauce, and one doesn't fit into the other.
Because the fries
infuriating.
don't need the sauce. You don't need
yes,
the
they
sauce.
do.
They're already perfect.
How?
Why would you ruin it?
You were such a well-respected eNASCAR commentator, and then you go and say we don't need sauce on fries, and
No.
they tell you don't meet your heroes because like they say things you can't believe, and I'm having that moment right now in the middle of RSR IceBreaker race.
We stopped dousing things with sauces when we were 5, when our taste palates matured. You don't need sauce for your fries to be good.
Well, hold on. So now we're going to get back to the race in a second because Seth is having a great run here. But are you telling me you don't put ranch or blue cheese on your chicken wings?
None of the above. Don't give me any of that. Give me a dry rub. I don't want anything wet anywhere.
So disappointed in you. So disappointed in you.
Soggy wings. We'll continue this in 2 weeks' time. This will be your promo to join us for the RSR Cup Series when it gets on the calendar coming up in a couple of weeks. But meanwhile, DeMerchant's charge through the field has been progressing. Again, he is the second highest runner of the drivers on the one-stop strategy, so he is good to go the distance. So this battle between he and Lariah for what is 4th and 5th on track right now may eventually be the battle for the race win. I mentioned that one lap, tire advantage for Seth wasn't going to be overpowering, but at this level of sim racing, 1 lap of tires is certainly noticeable, and he is within about 4 car lengths.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here. Really is trying to run down Michael Lariah, but these times look almost even. I mean, yeah, he's catching him a little bit, but nothing too drastic, although now he's starting to. Maybe that draft is kicking in here. But we should be just about to that point within a lap or two where basically what your top 3, or top 2, I guess, Freenosh at least needs to come in for that final pit stop, Evan.
Yeah, they are going to want to pit, in theory, at the 2/3 marker, and there you go, Andrew Freenosh right on cue. I was going to think about 1 more lap. He wanted about 33 to go, but Freenosh going to come in a little bit sooner, and his entry to pit road is good. So he will, again, go 4 tires into fuel, and he will be good to go to the end of this race. That would leave us still with Grant Davis, Sam Nieto, Braden Whitaker to come down pit road, and Eric Papanow as the others. We've seen Kyle Kamer. He stuck in pit road about 5 laps ago, so he's now good to go to the end. And here is the battle that could become for the race win. DeMerchant's got the better tires, and I think he's got the preferred position now as he gets to the outside of Michael Lariah. Going to use the banking to his advantage, carry the speed through the corner, and get the run down the hill off of turn 2. And it is a battle for 3rd, but a big one as DeMerchant passes Michael Lariah and now leads the one-stop contingent.
Yeah, definitely leading that one-stop contingent and sort of storytelling at its finest in a way that right now the battle we're likely looking at being the battle for the win is the battle for the top 2 in that order. 1 and 2 is Seth DeMerchant and Michael Lariah. Michaels has had a difficult time here tonight. Even tonight, passing DeMerchant. But Lariah told me he's had fun. He's learned a lot. He knows maybe he made a couple mistakes at the beginning of the season that sort of cost him an opportunity to be closer. But having a great time here in RSR. And, of course, the other thing we heard, and Evan, because things start tomorrow night, a lot of these drivers right now are already starting to turn their attention to what's next. Whether it be eNASCAR, whether it be Road to Pro, whether it be NIS starting up in a couple weeks. It's both real and almost hard to think that here we are, 1, 2, 3 weeks away for being kicked back into NASCAR season and all that eNASCAR, action happening here across iRacing.
Of course, the Cup Series schedule here in RSR as well pretty closely follows the Cup Series schedule. Only 30 races here on the sim compared to the real world's 36, but more times than not, we'll be talking about Cup car races at the tracks at which you'll be seeing then the following weekend with the NASCAR Cup Series and through the NASCAR ranks. And the season is really so long, right? Going from February all the way through November is Grant Davis now also down pit road, and that leaves only Eric Papanow down in 11th, who is yet to come down pit road and complete the 2-stop cycle. The season's so long. The offseason doesn't feel long when you look at the calendar, but all it takes is a month, and some change into it, and you're ready for it to come back. And, wishing everybody who will be traveling, and being a part of the series on the road every week, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, any kind of other touring series, well wishes and safe travels as the 2024 season kicks off. But just excited to have it back. And I know the Rolex over the weekend was kind of the unofficial kickoff.
Yeah, that's always the best way to kick off Daytona is the Rolex 24, and had a great weekend of racing and a lot going on here. But look at this great racing back here for fifth place. Pardon me. These guys right here, it's like a little mini hornet's nest. I think that's Agnell Phillip. That's Major back there. It's the 24 down below. I think I saw Cody Harris in the back. These guys still think we're race one. They're still full force.
This battle for P5 is the march through the field, and all of this for position. Phillip Harris, good to go to the end of the race. They've also been running 73 laps consecutively from the beginning of this race, so you finally have those gaps. Seth and Lariah pretty close. Seth was able to make the pass for the race lead. You can see that 2-car going around them on fresh tires, but Lariah's hanging out there. But then it's a 3.5 second gap back from that battle for P1 and then the battle for P3 on back. So it is a healthy margin for the 57 and the 44, at least over their fellow competitors on their strategy. But the Andrew Freenosh, the Kyle Kamer contingent, they have also completed their service for the night. Kamer P8 is the lead car on the 2-stop strategy. He's 14 seconds back. You're going to need to average about a half a second a lap if that's going to be made up in time.
Yeah, and what I noticed about that pack, and if we can see it again, is they're not lined up. They're not working together. They're not trying to catch the front two. That was chaos back there in a little small mini form. They're battling each other. And when you do that, what you're doing in that moment, as you see it now in the back of that shot, is, when you're not working together, you're just making a bigger gap between yourself and the cars you're trying to catch. If you're going to race like that, you have to make a move fast and then complete it and move on. I sort of call it the old IndyCar slingshot style of pass is what you have to do. But those guys weren't doing it here. So this gap will probably open up more and more between DeMerchant and Lariah with Jorgensen back there in P3. And this is another example of those tires. Evan, oh, look at DeMerchant getting up there. Oh, man, that was kind of, I don't know. If I was in 24, I would have expected DeMerchant to stay on the bottom and let me by. That had to be a moment for Davis of almost a little bit of fear.
He pulled right up in the 24, had to certainly get out of the gas and adjust. Grant Davis on the other strategy opposite of Seth's, notably not kind of his top rival for the race win in this one, but Seth probably could have made it a little bit easier on him as we jump back to the battle for third spot. And Nathan Jorgensen in this position right now. The challenge to the outside is DeAndre Kane. The 90 car has better tires, but is plenty timid, tipping his way through the field as he wants to have no impact on the battle. I think Jorgensen, Phillip, enough separation now with Agnell making the pass on to Maverick Davis for fourth that DeAndre was able to get through easy enough. And again, there's always that cascading effect. Agnell's got fresher tires than Jorgensen up the road, and that's why not too shocked that the 94 is closing on the 31.
Yeah, not too shocked at all. So we'll see how this pans out. Now they are in line, by the way. I talked about that a few minutes ago, but now they are in line. So maybe they'll, and this isn't, as you said, it's not a drafting race, but that little bit of draft can still help you in making something up here. Of note to me, Evan, the one thing that sticks out to me about this race is we're now down to about 22 to go. Seth must think he's really good on fuel, because if I was someone who was not confident in my fuel status or how much fuel I have left, I would probably back up some of that half second, 0.7 of a second lead and not be leading by that much. You don't need to. Whether you lead by 0.7 of a second or 0.1 of a second, you're still the leader. So Seth must feel confident in what's in that tank.
They were all able to get to at least the halfway point. in terms of the one-stoppers. Lariah pitted a little bit earlier, Agnell a little bit later. He got the best mileage out of everybody. So they, effectively did a mock 50-lap run on the first run. They'll have an even better understanding of how aggressive they can be on the second run. I think that's where that element of confidence comes from, is the fact that they're basically replicating that first run to a T. That's when the strategy works out real nice and you split it right down the middle. Your second 50-lap run going to be pretty similar to your first 50-lap run. Maybe a little bit more fuel consumption in terms of the cars won't be drafting on each other as much, just this thing spaced out. But aside that point, it's almost going to be a mirror image, so you know what to anticipate much more. Phillip using that middle lane to get the run through 1 and 2. He's going to be able to get a nose to the outside of Nathan Jurgensen. Side by side, the battle goes for third spot on the racetrack. Jurgensen holds his ground on the bottom, but again, that top has been such a lethal finishing move tonight for some of these side-by-side battles, and Agnell Phillip has got it. You can book it. He's up to P3.
Yeah, nice job getting the pass completed, getting around him, and then just being confident in that move. So with about 15 to go, or excuse me, 19 to go here, pardon me, I'm going to make a note here mentally out loud. Andrew Freenosh is about 8.7 seconds back, Evan. That number is decreasing, but I don't believe it's at a rate where he's going to be in conversation for the win. He'll need to gain about, half a second a lap, I think, to make it work. So we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, he's, I'd say about 8.5 seconds back.
Yeah, this time by, going to be 18 to go. He's, about 10 seconds back, so you can just make the math easy and say, it's about a half a second per lap that he needs. DeMerchant's last lap, a 33.831 for Andrew, a 33.333. I don't know if I've ever seen threes across the board. So he's right on the money at a half, but that doesn't take into account kind of the miscellaneous factors, and that would be the time that you add to that individual car lap time to pass somebody, right? You have to go off of your optimal line. It's going to cost you time to make a pass. Andrew's got to pass the 6 cars in between them before he can even think about getting to the race lead. In addition to that, he's going to lose that tire advantage a little bit more lap by lap. His tires aren't going to be as much faster with each passing lap. I think Andrew likely gets to third in this one before he runs out of time.
Yeah, what Andrew's hoping for, by the way, is although that tire advantage will fall off for him, what he's really hoping for is that the tire wear falls off massively for Seth and Michael and Agnell Phillip, because remember, they only did this one stopper. They're now about 34 laps into this run. So Andrew's hoping by lap 45, lap 50, they have nothing left and they're sort of hanging on for dear life, and he makes up a lot of time. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what he's hoping for.
Looking at some of the other battles that may come down to it, the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th still somewhat close. Lariah has been slipping on DeMerchant. That gap had sat at about a half a second. It's now the 0.8 that you see right now, so I don't know if Lariah's got enough in the tank to challenge Seth late. Here's that closer battle back for 4, 5, 6 as Cody Harris is right behind Maverick Davis. Jurgensen just a little bit more up the road. This is probably the closest battle on track right now as the 28 car. 15 got a little bit loose that time. Thought maybe he was going to dive down to the bottom. Doesn't do it quite yet, but Harris certainly on the hunt.
Yeah, look at Harris, by the way. Smiles and grins this far into a run. That means he must be having a good time with that car tonight, because he is all laughter. There's times in this far into a run, but if a driver is not happy, those grins are replaced with frustrated faces, biting of the lip, hand motions, bad lip reading, if you will. So Cody Harris must be having fun tonight.
And it's the last race of the year, not in the points battle. You're driving a fun car track combo. Break a smile, have a little bit of fun with it, and having fun with this challenge down to the inside and going side by side with that 15 to Bashida Maverick Davis for 5th. Harris washing up those sideways through the corner. I don't know if he's going to smile when he's 2x2 like that. Almost more contact at the stripe. We've seen so many cars complete these passes up top. He's trying to do it on the bottom, and Davis overdrove the entry that time into turn number 1, and it allows the 28 car to seal the deal.
And listen, there's something we not talked about yet, and I don't know where it comes from, if it's his point of view in the car or if it's an optical illusion, but when you go through that entry into the dog leg or the trioval right there at the front straight. When you're side by side, that feels so narrow. I know it's not. I know there's plenty of space for 2 wide, almost 3 wide racing through there. But there's something about it, Evan, that I can't quite explain to you. But when you're in a car, it just... I don't know if it's because that other car is in a blind spot or what it is, but it feels so narrow to go through there side by side.
And I think the kinks are a big part of it, right? These quad ovals where there are those 2 distinct bends. I don't know if it feels as tight at a Chicago, a Las Vegas, right, where it's that smooth
Kansas
transition. Yeah, the kink is what gets you, because you can't just hold the wheel the same way through the entire front stretch if you're side by side with somebody. You've really got to give it a left-hand turn, straighten it out, stay wide, give it a left-hand turn, and it does make it feel pretty claustrophobic.
Yeah, because it feels like your 2 options are turn it really left and end up in the grass at Atlanta, or don't turn it left and end up into someone. So to me, if I've always made a pass in that area of the track, I've always wanted to do it on the outside, because I feel like I have all the visual points. I know where the wall is. I know where the other car is. But that driver on the inside, I just feel like has a disadvantage. You just have to sort of have, blind faith that you know what you're doing and know it's going to work out for you.
10 laps to go at the Atlanta Motor Speedway and 10 laps to go in this 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series season. Seth the Merchant had a slow start and, with nobody's surprise, drove his way through the field and is looking to not only secure the championship, in which all he had to do tonight was complete a single lap, but he is looking to secure the championship with a max points night. Started on a pole, got a bonus point for that. Has led a lap, got a bonus point for that. And this time by will lead his 37th lap of the afternoon, passing Andrew Freenosh's tally of 36, looking to score that 3rd bonus point for the most laps led, and trying to end it with a huge exclamation mark.
And look at that gap. It has grown. Remember I had that conversation about fuel about 10, 15 laps ago. I said, hey, Evan, he's 0.7 seconds ahead. Why doesn't he back it up? Now he's almost 2 seconds ahead of Michael Laraya. So either Laraya is backing it up for fuel because he's not confident in it, or Laraya has burnt up that equipment. One of the two, because that is a massive gap that has formed in the past 10, 15 laps.
It really is. It's just that little bit extra when you get to the top level that Seth has gotten to. Of course, we saw so many good battles with him and Malik Ray, 2 Coke-level talent drivers at the start of the year. It's just those little differences. It's not the flashy things, but it's those hundreds here and maybe even thousands here and there in the second half of a run that really separate the very best of the best from everybody else. Jumping back to watch this battle down the back straightaway, Andrew Freenosh trying to continue his march through the field. He's gotten to P4. Figured maybe P5 or 3 was going to be the best he could get. He was within striking distance of Agnell Phillip. I think that's his goal at 6 laps to go, is to get to that red number 94 car, and then that'll be about it.
Yeah, that will be about it, because, although he's made his way through the field, that number is not any real different to Seth the Merchant. Now it's a 8.1. Pardon me, when I called it out at 18 laps ago, it was an 8.7, 8.8. So that while the rest of the field has fallen back, it feels like, or maybe Seth has gotten faster, Andrew's not closing on that rate of Seth he needed to. So, Andrew might get a P3. That seems a little more questionable as of this point. But, man, with 5 to go, this really is almost like a storybook ending for Seth the Merchant, Evan. Just really putting a stamp on this race to close out a season. This honestly has just been the Seth the Merchant story.
It really has, and my OCD doesn't appreciate that he flipped the script up a little bit. It had been the odd-numbered races, right? He won round 1 in Daytona, 3 in Michigan, 5 in Rockingham. Thought certainly that meant he was a shoo-in in Fontana. Of course, that race did not go his way, but what a story that one was, with William Schmidt getting his first career RSR points race win just a week ago. But You know, when you tally the numbers with the Malik Ray battles that we had earlier, Malik stole a win on the second race of the year. Michael Guest took the fourth. That means that, 6 of the 8 races will go down to having checkered flags taken by drivers who have or had competed in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. For all of that talent, all of the challenges, all the new faces that came into this series to drive these Gen 4 cars, and for those who are regulars and wanted to see this, Seth's going to end up ending the season with 4 wins in 8 starts.
It really just shows you that practice and consistency is the way that you get where you want to be in life sometimes. He's been up front the whole time. He's not a driver who likes to, muck around in the middle of a field. He's, knows that's a dangerous place to be. And realistically, this season, if you were to take it in a form of a book, in a text form, and describe what Seth has done, Evan, front to back, this is almost like how to win a title 101 by Seth the Merchant.
Meanwhile, the battle for third heats up as we close in on the last lap of this race. Freenosh into the outside.
Ooh, look at that wiggle.
In turn number 2, he was there on the doorstep of Agnew Phillip and made a mistake in the waning moments. Is he going to have enough time to recover as we come to 1 lap to go at Atlanta? 1 lap to go on the season. Seth the Merchant takes the white flag. Here's the battle for third. It's all going to come down to the final 1.54 miles. Seth competing for this Winter Series championship, already secured it earlier for the title, but ends it on an exclamation point. It's his final time off of turn 4. Seth the Merchant is going to get his 4th win of the season as the RSR IceBreaker Winter Series champion. Meanwhile, in third, Freenosh to the inside, can't make it stick, and has added fuel to the stripe though. Agnew Phillip had him, but does not have the fuel to go the distance, and Freenosh steals P3.
Wow, what a way to finish right there. All that talk we had about who did and didn't, and it came down to that.
Lariah quiet in all of that with his P2 finish, accomplishes what he had hoped to do coming into this race. That is defend second place in the championship. What an exciting run to the end for third with the multi-strategy, and what an impressive way to end the year for the Merchant, winning 4 out of 8 in another beautifully executed caution-free race, as Seth the Merchant is your 2024 RSR IceBreaker Winter Series champion. Another first for the RSR record books.
I think he's out of gas. I don't think he can do a burnout. Now, watch him do it and prove me wrong. But no, he's done. I think he's out of gas there, Evan. There will be no winning burnout for Seth the Merchant.
I just visualize in my head him climbing out of the car, giving us a bow, or whatever Seth's signature celebration would be. We've seen so many Winter Series champions over the course of these years, but none have been named Seth the Merchant, and he joins that illustrious list here this afternoon. Let's talk about your full race results, and what a showing for the New England boys. Seth the Merchant with the win, Lariah in second, Freenosh in third. They make some good race car drivers in that part of the country. We'll try to get a word with all of them in just a few minutes. Agnew Phillip comes home into fourth with Nathan Jurgensen in P5. Cody Harris, Kyle Kamer, Ross Cato, Maverick Davis, and Sam Nieto round out your top 10.
Moving back to the rest of the field, you see Grant Davis was 11th with Minazzi Major, the last car in the lead lap, in 12th. Braden Whitaker and Eric Papineau 1 lap down, and then DeAndre Kane 4 laps down. And then, of course, Andrew Freenosh back on lap 69, said your fastest lap of this race.
So that's a look top to bottom at your full race results. And also, we did mention that this was not the only championship up for grabs here tonight in terms of talking about the individual driver championship. The team championship was on the line tonight as well. And I am talking about updating those results as we go. So as soon as that number is official, we'll get you down to it. But first, let's go and start these post-race interviews. Looks like Andrew Freenosh is standing by. Derek, let's start tonight with your P3 finisher.
All right, well, let's go to have a moment to have a word here with Andrew Freenosh. Andrew, what a great battle to the end that you and Agnew Phillip had. Fortunately for you and unfortunately for him, looks like he just ran out of gas.
Yeah, he just slowed coming across the line there. Man, that was a lot of fun. I think I probably could have got him speed-wise, but I got a little loose with 2 to go there, and then he took away my line. So kudos to him. He had me beat until he stuttered there, which I was surprised. I think he went a lot further than everybody else, so I was shocked to see that.
Yeah, we saw that wiggle you had live on the broadcast. It looked scary from up here, so I'm sure in the car it was probably a little unnerving. But I want to ask you about the 2-stop versus 1-stop play. If you knew then what you knew now, or maybe vice versa. Anyways, if you knew that, would you stick to this 2-stop idea?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be close on gas, and to be honest, I saved that first run probably till like 30 laps in, and I just didn't think the tires were going to last. So my only regret is not going harder that first run. And yeah, I mean, they started to catch me pretty good, so I knew I wasn't going to win. You know, we're here to have fun, but we're trying to win the race. So I kind of knew that they were going to catch me and pass me. So I said, let's change it up, do something different. And, you know, I think a more skilled driver easily could have won the race, but I don't have what I used to. So and these guys are really, really hard to beat, and we gave it our best shot. So I would have just went harder on that first run, and maybe it would have been a little closer.
You say a more skilled driver, but we know you still have those skills. So looking ahead, I'll give you a chance to self-promote here. When we come around to the new NASCAR season at iRacing, what are your plans? What's on the schedule for you?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Might sneak in, do some RealSimRacing here on Monday. Doing Road to Pro, not really taking it as serious as in the past. You know, just kind of running it for the competition-wise, and you know, just kind of a more chill year. Just have some fun on this game and kind of see where we end up.
There you go. Well, I will ask you, anyone you want to say hello to or you know, give thanks to on the way out?
Yeah, I wish we could have won. It's my brother's birthday today, so happy birthday to him. I want to say thanks to all my friends and family for putting up with this. You know, racing for an hour and a half a night is you know, a lot on them. So I want to say thanks for putting up with it. Evan, for everything you did with this league and all you guys for announcing. You know, you took the driver's say kind of and let us run this car, and this was a blast. I wish we'd run it for the full throttle because this thing is a handful. It's fun to drive. You know, it might not be really fun to watch, but to drive this thing is so much fun. And yeah, that's about it. And all the fans watching. You know, I know there's some people that watch every week, so thank you for watching. I hope we put on a good show, and that's about it.
All right, Andrew. Well, listen, great job tonight in the P3, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you.
All right, there's Andrew Freenotch, driver of the 88 machine, finishing P3. We'll move on and grab Michael Lariah and cut that number in half, the driver of the 44. He finished P2. Michael, in a weird way, you finished the season, the last race of the season where you're going to finish, you know, second place behind Seth. Talk to me about the race. What caused you to fall back so far in the last 10, 15 laps?
Unfortunately, fuel. I had about 0.3 left on the tank as soon as I crossed the finish line. So, unfortunately, if I were to push it, I would have been short and ran out. And it stunk because I felt like I might have been able to try something if I had the fuel to really push my pace. But it still would have been tough regardless because I know Seth, he was able to pit a little bit later than I was. And ultimately, that came down to just me running a little bit harder pace the first initial 50 laps. To be honest, I was maybe thinking about doing a 2-stop strategy, but kind of got caught off guard with some of the guys pitting as soon as they did. And then I'm like, you know what? There's enough people that already pitted in before me. I'm just going to stick with the 1-stopper. And I'm glad I did because the fall off there, it kind of equaled out, which was surprising to me. So ultimately, I still feel like I ran a really good race, but just need a little bit more fuel. Needed to push a little bit extra as far as distance that first run to really be able to challenge with Seth. He just timed things perfectly there.
Yeah, look, you guys had a great run and a lot of fun out there. Well, as the season closes, you're going to finish P2 behind Seth. So not a title run, but still, obviously, you got to be thrilled that you're going to come up P2 in the IceBreaker series.
Yeah, overall, definitely a really solid season. The only bad race I really had was just at Chicagoland, getting caught up in a wreck there. But besides that, I feel like I had top 10 speed every race we went to, if not better. So definitely a lot to be proud of. I just had a lot of fun racing this car and going to the tracks that we had on the schedule here. I felt like hit a really good balance of tracks that, it puts it in the driver's hand just to be able to move around a bit and, really try to manage your tires. So that was a lot of fun. But overall, I got to be proud of the effort and just the consistency throughout this winter series. And, of course, I got to thank my Flat Out Esports teammates and Sim Speed Shop for being on board the car. And I got to thank you guys, too, as far as putting on the broadcast each week. It's a lot of fun to look back on these races and, just to see what develops throughout them, but just kind of look back on things and see where you can learn, too.
All right. Well, the last question I'll ask you, and we'll let you go, and I'll give you a chance to self-promote here as we kick back into the NASCAR season within the iRacing platform. What's on your docket for this year?
Yeah, so, moving forward here, definitely plan on running the RSR Cup Series. Sim Speed Shop's going to be back on the car, which I'm excited about for that. Finalizing some things here with, paint schemes and whatnot, and I'm hoping to release some stuff fairly soon on that. Also going to be running the Integrity Racing League, particularly their Octane Series on Tuesday nights, which is going to be with the Gen 4 car, which I'm really excited about. Just, after running this winter series here in RSR kind of as like a teaser, I feel like I can really compete well in that league and hopefully run for a championship there. So that's what I got going on for 2024. So, we're going to make the best of it.
Well, listen, Michael, great job. P2 tonight, P2 in the points. Congrats, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's Michael Araya, driver of the 44. And now Evan has caught up with our race winner and our season champion.
That's right. We're down at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Victory Lane, with tonight's race winner and your champion. Seth the Merchant is the 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series champion. Seth, congratulations on the win, on the title. The whole conversation to pre-race was, we thought maybe a poor Fontana for you would make this one interesting. In the end, all you needed to do was finish a lap to win the championship, but you did far more than that. End this one with an exclamation point and another max points night.
Yeah, Evan, it was a lot of fun. I love racing this car, and it was really cool. We put together a really good season, and it was a lot of fun racing with Laraya right there, just managing tires, managing fuel, going back and forth, and really cool to end it off as the champion.
I won't go as far as saying that we saw two different seasons, but the story early was the battles with you and Malik in those races, had 4 or 5 yellows. There was, not as much pit strategy or green flag racing as we saw that in the second half, where there were multiple instances of races like this, where it goes green all the way, where there's multiple different strategies in play at once. And yet, despite those two very different dynamics that we saw over the course of these 8 weeks, you and that 57 car were involved every single time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun managing, going green, in a lot of series you never get to go green. So, really hard racing at the start of the season, like you said, with Guest, Malik, and all those guys. And then, they stopped showing up, and I don't know, but I just still had a great time, man. These cars are great. Hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah, this car was the big highlight, right? It was a driver-led initiative from those who have been competing here on Monday nights for years, and now your name joins the list that includes Chad Cole, David Comstock, Andrew Friedosh, Matt Dancet, Agnell Phillip, as somebody who has been an RSR champion here in this winter series. What was it like for you to not necessarily get out of your comfort zone, but try something different and have some new faces to race against?
Yeah, it was fun to drive a new car. Coming into this series, I had only driven it once, so learning the new car, learning how to drive it, going to some of these unique tracks like Rockingham that you don't really go to very often, and I just having a great time.
Well, as always, and we've been doing it with everybody, you've got some notable ones, but as this ends and now the full 2024 racing calendar is up on deck, we'll give you the chance to kind of shout out what you'll be up to this year.
Starting tomorrow night, we're going Coke Series racing, so looking forward to that. I know you'll be commenting that, I think, right? So
you can't get rid of it that easy.
Yep. Maybe, hopefully we can see you in the interview booth there, maybe once the season, we'll see, but looking forward to it. Been trying to get into Coke for past 4 years now, so finally was able to make it thanks to our team at Altus Esports, all the guys, and see what we can do there.
Well, for your sake, I hope that we'll talk soon, because that'll be a good sign for you on these Tuesday nights, Seth. But I appreciate you coming over and competing with us here on these Monday nights. Again, congratulations on the race win, and congratulations on the championship. Well deserved.
Thank you, Evan.
That is Seth the Merchant. He is an RSR champion in the 2024 IceBreaker Winter Series, and he kicks off his action in the 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series starting tomorrow night with the Clash, as he is one of 4 rookie drivers in that series, supported by Altus Esports, but he'll be driving the FGR-XL eRacing number 14 Toyota on those Tuesday nights. And Derek, I made that point, right? There were 8 races this year, 6 of them won by drivers who are either current or former Coke Series level drivers, and it's not like they came in and won by 49 seconds over everybody else. They went head to head with the Agnells and the Dansons and the Freenoshes, the Larias of the world. William Schmidt beat him a couple of times too, right? Like, that shows that you can get that very best from anywhere on the service, and it's still a fair fight here on a Monday night, as always.
Oh, yeah. Making that level of competition is difficult, right? It's a grueling process on purpose to really weed out and make sure that you get the best of the best at the top levels. But it's a grueling process, and it does show you that there's plenty of talent all across the service, whether you have that pro license or not, that you can compete here. And man, what a season it has been, Evan. All 8 races, tight, interesting, competitive, and fun. I got to take a moment here and be selfish, though. Thank you. I am a nerd who's been doing this for about a year and a half, and working with you and Josh and RSR has been a blast. It was intimidating at first, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed the ride 100%. I'm excited to see what's next.
Y'all continue to make me feel old, because I feel like I don't feel like I know I've been doing this for about 11 years. It feels like it at times, but I always enjoy being able to be so involved in RSR, handling the admin side of things behind the scenes, and that's why every time I thank a driver for their post-race interview, it's not only thanks for joining us, but thanks for being here on a Monday night, because if we don't have the talented drivers that we do, the Seths, the Agnells, so on and so forth, everybody, over the course of the 50-something people that compete in the Cup Series every year, here in this Winter Series, some 41 drivers signed up, competed in at least one race, then there is no show for us to have here on a Monday night. And of course, none of that can be possible without the support as well of RaceSpotTV and all of the talented producers that they allow to be a part of these shows as well. But of course, just like I mentioned, that the end of a Winter Series calendar means that we are close to the start of a new, means that we are not too far away, because races in the upcoming schedule are closer than they appear. We are only 2 Mondays away from the start of the 2024 Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, Derek. So these drivers better enjoy that 1 week off, because we're going to be right back in it to hand out another championship belt this year.
And what I'm excited about, Evan, is this new process. We're going to race the RSR race before the NIS race, or before everyone gets a week of practice in at the track with official racing. It could be a little different this year. I'm excited to see how it works. So, as you said, only 2 Mondays away, and I'm excited.
Yeah, typically we've had several weeks for a clash and duels, but to your point, instead of racing if Daytona was on a Monday and then we would race it that following, or Sunday, we'd race it that following Monday. That's not the case anymore. Instead of capping the week on the service, we'll kick it off. So the start of the racing week is here on Monday nights, and we hope that you join us then. Until next time, though, that is it for us here tonight from Atlanta. Again, one final time, on behalf of all of the people behind the scenes at RaceSpotTV and everybody who pitches in at RealSimRacing, I want to say thank you as well on behalf of our entire broadcast team tonight, for our producer Joshua Lee, for Derek Watson, and myself, Evan Pasoko, and congratulate Seth the Merchant. He is your 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series champion. We're back, though, in 2 weeks' time for the first race of the 2024 Cup Series. That one comes on Monday, February the 12th. Until next time, good night from Atlanta.